Lenovo Zoom Z1 is still a great phone with great battery life, customizable software and most importantly a catchy price tag. However, it's now a bit old and it has a successor which on paper looks gold. And it is actually very affordable with the lowest in variant starting at around 18,000 rupees. If you don't know me yet, my name is Sid. And in this video I'll be reviewing the Zoom Z2 Plus for you. I'll be comparing it with Xiaomi Mi 5, its arch rival, and at the end I'll be answering the most important question. Should you be buying it? Well, without any further ado, let's start the review. Now, on paper, the phone is actually pretty good. You get the same kind of specifications that you would expect on a flagship, may it be the processor, the camera configuration, or even features, as you can see on your screens. So starting with the review, it is actually a very good phone. However, if you're a bit overcritical, you can find at least one flaw in almost all sections. I'll tell you in a minute what I'm talking about. Let's first start with the designing here. The phone is actually very well built. You get glass on the back, you get glass on the front, and the sides are made up of microfiber glass, which are very durable and add to the sturdiness and the sex appeal of the phone. It feels and looks like a very premium phone. One more thing to note is that the phone comes with roll cage protection. In simple terms, roll cage is a mechanism employed in fast cars, which generally topple, and it's a mechanism that is employed to protect the passenger on the seat. So what they do in the phone is they basically use a single layer of metal and all the components are embedded into it. This one I believe has a magnesium alloy, a single layer of magnesium alloy to protect the internal components from hurt and damage. However, while the internals are pretty durable, the exteriors might not be. And here's where the nitpicking starts. Firstly, there is some kind of protective layer that Zook has employed on its phone. However, who made it and what it is, we don't know yet. It's not Gorilla Glass. Secondly, glass backs have their own set of issues. They are very slippery, they get scratched easily, and more importantly, they get easy cracks. And I believe that Lenovo knew about this, and hence, this thing ships with a cover, which is not just bundled with it, it's also attached to the device. Coming back to the form factor, the weight is very well distributed on this phone. It feels very good in the palm. However, the phone does not look very distinctive from the front. I mean, it looks to me like a OnePlus X or maybe a Xiaomi Mi 5 because of the home button down there. By the way, we'll talk about the home button in detail. It's a very in-depth topic. Right now, let me tell you about the feel of this device. The device feels very compact in the hand and the screen size is to be thanked for that. Zoom Z1 was a 5.5-inch phablet. Zoom Z2 Plus is a compact 5-inch phone. As a result, the notification bar is easier to reach, the phone is very easy to handle, and the pocketability has never been an issue. However, the 5-inch Full HD display, which otherwise produces good colors and contrasts, does feel a bit dim, especially outdoors. This is the brightest this phone can get. Also, the auto brightness mode on this thing is very irritating. It makes the phone a bit more dull than usual. In fact, it's so irritating that I actually turned it off. Talking about the turn-offs now. The phone this time does not ship with CyanogenOS like the last year. Instead, Zook has introduced its own ZUI on this phone. And trust me, if stock experience is what you want, you won't be missing Cyanogen much. It retains the stock look and feel for the most part, and to top it up, it comes with Google Now Launcher as the default home screen. But it is not all stock. The quick settings get triggered from the wrong side of the screen, which means that you end up accidentally pressing the on-screen buttons a lot. Also, the phone does not have a search bar in the settings, which I personally prefer to exist. It does have a notification light, but for one, it's too dim to notice, and number two, it's not customizable. Which means that all your notifications, may it be pending missed calls, new SMSs, or even new emails, are painted in the same dull color. Apart from that, there are some minor hindrances here and there. For example, it does have double tap to wake, but not double tap to sleep. But the biggest nuisance I had with this phone was with its dual SIM support. The phone does allow you to use two SIMs at once, however, it does not allow you to pick the default SIM for default actions. Meaning, I cannot select my Airtel SIM to make calls and send SMSs by default here. As a result, Google Now Commands automatically picks up the SIM one to do that for you. It is very annoying, I'll tell you that. However, there are some cool features here too. The software is not all ho-hum, and all those cool features come from this home button which we talked about earlier. It houses in a very fast fingerprint scanner that is very accurate too. And the screen does not have to be turned on like a Samsung device because this button can respond to both press and tap, like the Xiaomi Mi 5. And this gives rise to a lot of new shortcuts. You set shortcuts for double pressing, long tap, single tap, long press. But the coolest thing you can do with this U-Touch button is swiping left to right to cycle through your open apps. So overall, the software is a mixed bag. Some features are pretty cool, while others are yet half-baked. However, the phone gets exempted from this all because if you look at the amount of things you get for the price you pay, it's exceptional. This possibly is the cheapest phone you can buy out there with a Snapdragon 820 processor on board. It comes with two limited storage options, a 32 gig model and a 64 gig model, which also signify the amount of RAM you'll get on the devices. By the way, the 3 gig model has the same set of memory configuration that you would find on a Xiaomi Mi 5 for much less price. Talking about performance in general, it's blazing fast. May it be shattering the peers in terms of benchmarks or heavy tasks like gaming. Gaming in particular gave me no problems in the performance, barring some noticeable heating which I nowadays believe is common on all smartphones. Multitasking on the other hand is a mixed bag, as the software automatically closes down some apps in the background in order to save battery. However, you get the option to choose which ones in the optimization settings. Which now brings us to the battery life of the smartphone. To be very honest, I use this phone quite ruggedly. The Wi-Fi was always on, my Jio 4G was always on, the phone was always connected to my laptop via Bluetooth in order for me to receive calls and text on the laptop itself. Apart from that, I do watch a couple of videos here and there. I'm always on calls and social medias. I do not play games that frequently, so that won't count. And all of this usage resulted in around 4 hours of screen on time on average. But I was personally disappointed with that, and I'll tell you why. Xiaomi Mi 5 gives me around 3.5 to 4 hours of screen on time as well, despite having a battery that is 500 mAh lower than this one. So I was expecting something phenomenal from this phone. Yet, it's sufficient for most of you. In fact, the battery life is better than the one on Mi 5, the one on OnePlus 3, the one on Mi Max 2. So it has decent amount of battery on board. Plus it comes with fast charging too, for you to top it up quickly. And the last thing that I want to talk to you guys about is the camera performance. The 13 megapixel rear camera is better than the Zook Z1. Day shots are vivid in almost all conditions. Images indoors are well detailed too. However, when the lights start to get a bit dull, the quality starts suffering a lot. Even flash does not help there. Coming to videos, you get 4K video recording and time-lapse and slow motion too. However, here's the catch. While the company claims that it can shoot up to 960 FPS of slow motion, it runs crappy on the phone because it's software based. And it does not even work on other devices over 120 FPS. Oh, and the UI too is dull, with not many filters and features available, but I like the fact that I can adjust the exposure with just one gesture. Front camera on the other hand is fine, however, it too has quality issues when the light is a bit low. Overall, the cameras on Zook Z2 Plus are good, but not great. Mi 5 gives you better picture quality and better features like a 4-axis optical image stabilization. And even Asus Zenfone 3 can beat this phone in low light photography. By no means Zook Z2 has bad cameras, the cameras are good. However, the peers are offering something better. So now that I've told you everything about the device, it's now time for me to seal it with my verdict. And here it is. Well, the Zook Z2 Plus is actually an exceptional smartphone. If you consider what you get for what you pay. You get amazing performance, you get good battery life, and you get that nifty home button too. However, the peers have caught up now. You can get the Le Eco Max 2 amidst all those Diwali sales and discounts at around the same price as an entry-level Zook Z2. Plus, Xiaomi Mi 5 offers you better cameras and features like NNFC. Asus Zenfone 3 also is available for the same price and gives you a better camera quality. However, Zook Z2 is the only one of the competition to give you stock Nexus-like experience. Plus, it is one of the cheapest Snapdragon 820 processor equipped phones. So if that is what you want, by all means, go for it. This phone is a jack of many trades. And that's what I think of the Zook Z2 Plus. Do tell me what you think in the comment box below. Meanwhile, do not forget to hit like, press share and subscribe to our channel. My name is Sid. See me soon. Ciao.